Shiny wax. How shiny can it be? Whoa. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Ranked Review. Today we are looking at TAC Systems Shiny Wax. This is their second version. The differences between version 1 and version 2 was that there was some blue on the trigger for version 1 and it had a rounded top like a bullet style bottle, whereas this one is square. That's the only indicators I saw between my V1 and V2, and I do not own my V1 anymore, so we get V2. Another thing I want to note is this is several years old, so there could be some slight altered changes in its performance attributes, but you know, we'll look at that later. If you want to know what it looks like performing fresh in somewhat similar testing, look at my original video for it. If it's going back a few years, so brace yourselves. But I have tested this before doing similar type of gloss panels with it. And I believe I compared it with Luster when that was much more fresh as well. So that information might be a little bit more relevant versus my aged bottle. So take it for what it's worth. But this is a very specific type of wax spray sealant. Durability and hydrophobics are not why this exists. This exists to make your car look really good. Filling abilities, measurable increases on a gloss meter from testing way back when from, I think, forensics. It is a visual aid. It is designed to make the car look better. That's its sole focus. Its hydrophobics aren't terrible initially, but where does it trade off when it comes to application, chemical resistance, things like that? There is very broken English instructions on the bottle. So spoiler alert, it's not going to do really great on the label. But if you apply it with an applicator and sort of let it set up, then remove it, it is a much nicer product to work with. So it gets dinged for not having that on the bottle, but Carzilla, where I bought this from, has that on their site. So if you're thinking about it, go read that description and application instructions. It's a much better way to use it. So that's how we use it here because I've got the experience with it. But we're still going to ding the label because the label isn't really the best way to use it because this can get smeary. It is very thick and oily. So yeah, but enough rambling. Let's look at the application, the gloss and fill, and the chemical resistance test, and then meet back for the conclusion. All right, up next is TAC System Shiny Wax V2. Now, the application for this is a little interesting because I bought this at Carzilla and their landing page for this product has very different application than on here. But I know from using this that application that they tell you on their website is better than what the broken English tells you on the bottle. So, yeah, I'm going to follow that and we'll just ding it in the scorecard. Probably help if I turn it on. Ooh, there she goes. Get a little purge. So they want you to put it into an applicator, 3x3 area, which is not quite this. It's got an interesting smell. It kind of has like almost like a sunscreeny smell. It's very thick though. It's very thick and oily, and this is why you want to work it in well. I think you should be able to see the hazing in the residue, but this is an old product. I won't lie, it's in the garage the whole time, but it is not new. I've had it for a long time. It still smells the same, still applies the same, but we'll just follow the instructions they gave on the site. Otherwise, this is a streaky, it's not like smeary, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not like some of those other products out there where you feel like you're just chasing a thin layer of oil. Like this stuff's thick and you're chasing this thick residue. It's like you put olive oil or melted butter on your car. It also looks like you put olive oil or melted butter though. So, yeah. So we'll just let that, yeah. It's an interesting smell. It's not chemically, not super artificial, not super chemical. It's unoffensive and light in its smell. But you see it's sort of set up a bit. I think you can let it go quite a while. I've never experimented, but we will wipe it now. Oh yeah, no problems. Smooth, little ghosting. You might be able to go a little longer than that, but it is smooth, shiny. Everything looks shiny right now. It's all polished. But yeah, it's smooth. It's nice. This is definitely the reason this product exists, is to just fill like mad. I haven't applied anything to the gloss section yet, so I don't have that foreshadowing comment to make, but unless something's gone super ski whiff on it, it is probably going to be the best showing we've had yet. But yeah, not too bad. Again, just apply it with an applicator, give it a minute or two. You can sort of almost work with it like it's a coating. Similar amount of flash time, and yeah, it's slick. It's shiny. It was easy. Not a bad score. Not a bad application. So anyway, moving on. All right, we're looking at TAC Systems Shiny Wax down here. You've got the untouched and then the full polish over here. So rip the tape. And you can see that is substantially darker. The fill quality is pretty good. Looking at it not through the camera, it is a substantial amount better. Looking through the camera, you can see that there's still a lot of swirls, but they're very consistent. There's not like, it looks like it's a full circle instead of it being those big straight lines. And when you look at it in person, it is substantially better. Especially, you can see just how much darker this line is. You know, it's got the darkness of over here. Now, this isn't a new bottle. This is several years old, so some of its magic may have died off a smidge, but it is a substantial improvement. It's definitely much darker, and it's much more filled. It's just, again, the way the lighting works, it looks like you're seeing more swirls, but it's actually just showing you perfect circles instead of these big lines like you see up here. So it is filled a lot, even though it might not look like it in the camera. It's actually substantially better. So it's one of those things where not everything gets through the camera properly. Sometimes it may look a certain way through the camera, but it's actually, in reality, it is different. It's obviously not as good as the polished out section, but it's in that same shade. It's almost as dark. It's just a little bit less, but if you look up here, it's night and day. The darkening, you can see this line. It's like super clear. So yeah, did a pretty good job despite the camera not picking it up. But you know, such is YouTube. Moving on. Okay, so we are back. We've seen application, gloss and fill, and Hydrophobic's chemical resistance. Starting off with the price. There's 3 options for size on this. Of course, we rate by the smallest, which is $26.99 for 500 mils. It's not terrible. That's about a 7 because I'm not doing an ounce up to, or 16 ounces, sorry, up to 500 mil conversion. It's straight at 500 mil for 26, which isn't bad. Locally, lots of detail-y type sprays are right within this range, and this excels at that one thing really specifically. So I don't mind that price, but it gets a lot better if you step up. The 1 liter is $37.99, which is $18.99 per 500 mil. So you are shaving off $8 by buying the 1 liter bottle instead of the 500 mil for your 500 mil quantity. And if you want to step up to the 4 liter bulk size, it ends up being $14.50 per 500 mils. So that is $12 less roughly compared to the 500 mil size. So, you know, if this is something you use a lot of, and this is, according to TAC system, this is ceramic coating topper safe, at least for their coatings. You can use it on their coatings to give yourself a gloss boost. I haven't personally done it. I've never used a TAC system coating, and I've never put it on top of a coating because every time I use a coating, I'm testing it for something and I can't. But it is supposedly safe to do that with this. So it does have more flexibility than just being a non-durable glossy spray wax. The fact that it can be used to boost a coating like that in a visual manner instead of a hydrophobic manner, and still have some good slickness is interesting. It's an interesting use case. So not too bad on price. So 7 out of 10 there. Slickness was a 9 out of 10. Once you go through the motions, spread it around and let it sort of set up and then buff it off. It is slick under the towel. It's nice to use. And in my application, you saw how thick it went on, and I was not chasing anything. The lighting isn't perfect on that guy. I'm trying to figure out a better way to do that, but it is slick to apply. Application's an 8 because although you do need an applicator, it doesn't fight you anywhere. It's easy to spread around. Its thickness isn't a drag, it's just thicker. It still moves around decently, and when you thin it out like that, it buffs off with minimal effort with a decent low nap towel. So I don't have issues with the application. The label, yes, but not the application. Initial Hydrophobics is a 5 out of 10. It is not a crazy hydrophobic product. Again, it has a specific reason for existing. If you want hydrophobics, their Quartz Max and their Quartz Max Plus are bonkers. They're not cheap for the Plus, but it's it's not a cheap product, but it is very good. Hint, hint. Yeah, if you're after hydrophobics, one of their other spray products is more geared towards that. This is for visuals. So hydrophobics suffers. Chemical resistance also suffers. 3 out of 10. It doesn't start off super strong, and it doesn't take long to break down. So by 5 hits, it's a real slow pool there. So yeah, again, not its strength, and therefore not a lot of points awarded. Gloss and fill is a 9. I mentioned it in the previous video, and I'm going to mention it in every video in this series because these panels are getting hard to keep consistent, at least panel to panel, despite using the exact same methods for scuffing them up to get fill. You can see that line at the tape where it is a huge chunk darker. And in my past experience, and I've got videos on my channel where you search out this product, you can see it. This stuff does fill like crazy. And other channels have verified it. It is a gloss meter reading high, filling high product. This, after several years of sitting around, as you can see, I've not used much. It may have evaporated away or shifted a smidge, but it's still doing a great job. And I have no doubts that a brand new bottle will be right up there at 10 if it is. But sometimes you can't see it quite through the camera or versus my eyes. So I try to show it as best I can. I think I'm going to move to flat, like acrylic style panels. They're easy to swirl up, but I just need something that's a little more consistent to film. The curving can sort of get really hard to get the lighting to stay happy. So I might look into that in the future for the next round of products. Again, this round we're at 2 out of 4. They're already done, so it's too late now. But yeah, so fill for this, 9 out of 10. Bottle, it's a 1 out of 2. Doesn't leak. No adjuster on here. Just to clarify why I care about that, when you're using something in a windy condition, I want the ability to thicken up the spray a bit so I don't lose it everywhere. Obviously, I have a garage. I don't need to do that, but not every time I can be in here for whatever reason. So I like being able to tune the spray for my conditions, and the wind is one of the biggest things. So that's why I like the twisty top. The bottle is fine. Like, it's no leaks. It's your typical bottle. This triggers nothing special. It doesn't leak, so that's a big plus compared to some. The label's a 1 out of 2 because they do give you, they do give you some instructions. They do tell you to use an applicator or a sponge, so they get you kind of close. But the English levels on it are, not up to snuff for a very clear description. So Carzilla's website has a very good explanation on how to use this. And all of the TAC system products on their website have very thorough explanations. So that's what, that's why the label gets 1 out of 2. So with that total, we are at 43 out of 64, which is not a bad showing. Again, it did well in slickness and application. That's not too bad to use. Use the applicator and you'll be laughing, especially because it's really easy to control. Filling abilities is why you buy this, bar none. And that 1 liter option, if you think you will use a product where you want the shine more than the hydrophobics, the 1 liter option is a solid value. It's not that bad, and these are Canadian prices, so it's not a bad option for this type of product, especially knowing that it can play with ceramic coatings, at least TAC system ones. So you pair this up with like Moonlight, for example, and you've got like a cheap but durable coating that has good hydrophobics and a great way to boost the appearance of it. For the 500 mil all in, you'd probably be under $100 Canadian. So not a bad go, not a bad product. Again, it's got some serious deficiencies in certain areas, but those are the compromises it made. So anyway, that's it for this one. Thank you again for watching. See you in the next one.